Hey guys, I am back. You can probably tell I got my hair cut on Monday. It's now Wednesday, the 29th of March. I did 7 videos in a row last week, and I thought that was quite a bit, so I took a couple days off here to kind of let you guys recharge, but I'm trying to do as many as I possibly can here while we still can. Today's episode, I believe, number 41 of Daily Thoughts with David Coleman, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. I have a whole list here of topics. We're going to do another run of videos, and today, I think we're going to start with some news here about Saudi Arabia, and we've got a whole bunch of other countries that are joining in with China and Russia. Pakistan's involved in there, along with a couple other Southeastern Asian countries who are basically joining up in an alliance, like a trade alliance of the East, that are going to be trading quite a bit more and kind of, it seems like, leaving the U.S. behind. So before we get really into the meat and potatoes of this whole alliance here, I would really love for you guys to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell. And if you're on Rumble, go ahead and follow me. Rumble is starting to be my new favorite platform because there's a lot more things I can say on there and a lot more freedom, I would say, on Rumble than there is on YouTube. So, regardless. So, Saudi Arabia has recently come out and said that they're going to be joining up with China, Russia, Pakistan. I believe India's in there also, along with some other smaller Southeast Asian countries, in order to create basically a trade alliance that's going to allow them to trade with all of these different countries, especially in the Eastern Hemisphere, and kind of distance themselves away from the United States of America. And I also think that they're going to be trading a lot of these products. This includes food. I mean, when it comes to Saudi Arabia, most of the exports of Saudi Arabia are obviously petroleum-based products, right? Russia's a big energy. Russia's a very big energy producer, exporter. China's a huge energy importer. But China and Russia just made a deal for like a $13 billion refinery between the two countries here. And so they'll be refining more oil coming in probably from Saudi Arabia and the Russian Siberian petroleum oil locations and to refine that for the rest of the continent over there. Regardless, we've got Pakistan in there, India's in there. I can't remember if Iran's in there, but there's a whole coalition basically that's coming together right now as trade partners in order to, it almost seems to subvert the West and subvert the United States of America in particular when it comes to the petrodollar and the United States dollar in trade. There's also news today that France, which is supposed to be one of our allies, is now settling energy, which would be natural gas or oil of some kind. They're going to be settling an energy purchase here between France and China in the Chinese Yuan, which is a really, really big deal because the U.S. dollar has been the trading currency for almost the entire world for decades now. And if things are going to be started to settled or traded within the Chinese Yuan instead of the U.S. dollar is going to lose a lot of its dominance in the world and a lot of the United States' dominance in the trade markets. So, that being said, it's kind of a scary time for the United States of America when it comes to the economy. Not that anyone is really safe right now, because most of the economy right now is on shaky ground. As we know, last week we talked about Silicon Valley Bank, we talked about Signature Bank, we talked about First Republic. Charles Schwab took a big hit last week. Credit Suisse went under and was being purchased by UBS last week in Europe. And so basically what we're looking at now is we're looking at a total restructuring of the financial markets, of the energy markets, of the trading alliances in the Eastern world. Meanwhile, the Western world is kind of getting left behind. So it's going to be a very interesting couple months, if not couple of years here, as everything starts to shake out. But I would not be surprised if Saudi Arabia begins to cut their production for the West. And Russia is already doing that. They're dropping their production for the West by 500 million barrels. I believe that's going to happen in July. And that's going to severely impact the cost, not severely, that's a bit of an over-exaggeration, but it's going to affect the energy independence, the energy dependence, my bad, not independence, of the Western world, because the energy outputs of these very, very important oil exporters, Russia and Saudi Arabia, are probably going to be going to China and the developing worlds instead of to the United States of America. In the same breath, we are talking about the United States of America, who is becoming more and more dependent on importing oil and on clean energies, which are not doing very well right now when it comes to, across the board, to be quite honest with you. The solar, wind energies are not producing anything near where they need to in order to subvert oil as the major producer of energy in our country. And then on top of that, the adoption of electric cars besides Teslas. There's a lot of Teslas out there. But Ford, GM, and other companies, I mean, even European companies like BMW and Mercedes are having a really hard time selling electric vehicles that are an electric version of vehicles that they're already producing. So, and to extend on that thought, I believe I saw a report from Ford the other day saying that they lost like $2 or $3 billion on the last year's EV research and development and sales. So when people are not buying Ford F-150 Lightnings, people are not buying the electric versions of these cars because they're just not there yet to the point where we can use them reliably. Regardless, that's kind of the situation we're in right now. The United States of America is heading in a very interesting and weird direction. The East is starting to solidify. When I mean the East, I mean both Asia and also Russia and the Middle East. They're starting to solidify into a coalition that's going to be basically subverting the trading power and the independence. Independence is a strong word. And the predominance of the United States of America and the Western world over the rest of the world. So we'll see what happens on that one, but I would love to know your guys' thoughts on the developments throughout the East, the new coalitions that are forming, Saudi Arabia joining this basically trading hub of Russia, China, Pakistan, India, Southeast Asian countries beyond, and what you guys think that's going to have, if that's going to have an impact on the trading and the energy resources we have here in the United States of America and in North America in general and Europe. But I would love to know your guys' thoughts. In the meantime, if you would, go ahead and follow my social media channels. My Instagram is David Coleman YT. My Twitter is Colma63ETH, where I talk a lot about finance and cryptocurrency on there. Rumble, like I said, is David Coleman 27, and YouTube is David Coleman. We are growing like a weed. Our subscribers keep going up and up and up. And we're going to keep doing this as long as you guys want to hear me talk about stuff. I'm in here in my office today. At my shop. We're doing some moving around of items and stuff like that here at the shop, but we will be moving to a new location here soon and making some big changes because the economy and the world is changing, like I just mentioned, and we're going to be going to a much different lifestyle and system here very soon because in previous videos I talked about how small business is being crushed by the United States of America and its regulations and its legal system and the lockdowns that we put on our country that basically destroyed our supply chain and made it very difficult to be a small business owner. So I'm not the only one in this boat. I have plenty of friends who are small business owners who are making big changes in their lives and even non-small business owners, even just employee and even higher management people who are making big changes in their life right now because I think there's a lot of fear and a lot of people waking up here recently in the United States of America that are starting to understand that our system in the United States is broken. And we have really screwed over a lot of people who make jobs, a lot of people who are out there trying to speak the truth, a lot of people who are out there trying to make an honest living and trying to get things done. We screwed them over really hard in the past 3 years. And so people are changing their lives and they're taking lessons from the past and starting to apply that to their life going forward. So regardless, we'll talk about that more in depth in another video. Go follow social media. I just mentioned those before, and we will see you on episode number 42 right after this. Thanks.